Hi guys, thank you very much for joining me. Polina here talking to you about this incredible full moon in Aries that is occurring on the 1st of October. What a wonderful time to start a month, a numerical month. It is a very, very wonderful, solid energy that should by now really register already. So we are heading towards the end of September. It should already now be kind of all good. So there is like a feeling of packaging, bringing things together, stating the obvious. It's like the elephant in the room, and it needs to be seen and understood for what it is. So basically, this is one of the better times to state yourself. And then from that, stating what you have in your life happening. So it is a very, very good selfish time. And it is also a very, very good self-examining time. So examination of self. It is very good to now see how you're going. Be your own teacher, be your own child, be your own parent, be your own master, be your own partner. So this is one of the greatest times to really, really get in on it, to get in on yourself. So if you have some kind of behavioral issues, if you are still experiencing some kind of loss or negative feelings about yourself, negative feelings about your mother, your father, the way that your life is, if you are experiencing any kind of peaks and troughs that are very, very extreme. So for example, if your highs and lows have got a mind of their own, it is a very, very perfect, good and kind time to really hone in on the details of who you are and how you're functioning as a human being. So if you were ever to get very, very selfish and very, very self-focused, the time would be now. So without this time, sometimes we have a scattering of ourselves throughout the year. And sometimes people have these jealous fits or selfish times or emotional upheavals if they don't really take into consideration windows like these. This is one of the greatest windows to really get in on the detail of yourself. You know, all the details that you have, anything to do with the mind, anything to do with the psyche, anything to do with the body, of course, because Aries is a very bodily sign. And also anything always, to do with mother, father, how you have your masculine and feminine archetypes or even stereotypes connected to you mentally and emotionally, what you do with people, how you act out in front of another, what do you really need from another person, how do you register in a group, what is your place in this world, and also how are you facing your higher self, and what do you do with your lower selves. It is more kind of about breaking up of the peripheral vision and putting it all together into that one focal energy. And sometimes without adjusting themselves first, people start to get really possessed about little details in other people's lives. It would be so super nice during this very robust and very essential Libra month, not to fragment yourself and who you are, and to really start this month on the right foot by knowing you. If you've got you, you've got everything. So all the concepts will flow. All the things that you need will start to come together if you understand what it is that makes you who you are. If you create more realizations and a brighter significance of those parts of you that are now coming through, it would be so nice instead of trying to organize somebody else's life. So it feels to me that without having you together, it is very hard to participate in anything. So here is where people can fly off the handle, as they say. This is where people can betray. This is where people can speak bad words of one another. This is when conflicts create negativity in the workplace. Also, contracts can go wrong. You can be signed up to the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people, and you can also have yourself not seen and believed. So like if you don't really see and believe in yourself, it is very, very difficult to have anything work. So here we have a very beautiful time to really etch into things. It's a gorgeous time for conflict resolution. It is a beautiful time for details, beautiful time for law and order. And it is also a beautiful time for advancements and for carrying things through further than you are. So this is a very interesting time for me. It's like you can now place into your energetic escrow, into your life, into your reality, concepts, parts that are not yet visible. So what I mean is you can plan yourself further along than you know. So here's where you can take a plan further into the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and even beyond that. So it feels to me that here's where we are seeding, planting, conditioning, creating, signing up for, and mending things for a very long time to come. We have a very long timeline ahead of us. And for a lot of people, these things that we are now beginning to fruit, or that we're now beginning to see, are going to at some point become part of the greatest concepts in our future. And also for some people, it is very, very interesting to see that we're coming up with certain mind forms and certain self-associations that are very beautiful, very important and impressive and fruitful and large for the greater collective whole. So what I mean is, for example, if you are now connecting to a new way of thinking, if you are now connecting to a new practice, if you are now creating new dietary choices or organizing your community and your family and your friends in a different way, there is something inside all of us that is contributing only to the self, seemingly only to the individual, that is actually more about to be. So what I mean is, like, we're sometimes visionaries. Sometimes we're starters of something really grand. Sometimes we, unbeknownst to ourselves, really can solidify and associate with the larger spectrum of human life. And we can also become very progressive beings during this time, and we can solidify something for ourselves and our families and our countries and our communities on the greater spectrum without knowing it. So for example, if you are building right now a home, or you are making for yourself a special place, a special practice, these could be very mainstream, very needed, and very nurtured later on in time. So these are the concepts that may not be evolved out of for a really long time. So we are facing the greater human collective now. We are facing the greater human whole, and we also are facing ourselves in every detail of our lives. And what a wonderful time to be alive, truly, as some of who you are, for lots of people, can be a great element to another. So we are growing inside of ourselves. Maybe new systems, new structures, new rhythms, new understandings, new polarities, new beginnings, new beliefs that could one day be on the plate for another person, that could one day bring another person to a greater fruition, or they could become mainstream on the greater whole. So design, the evolution of human consciousness through art and other practices such as that. Also music, shamanism, if you're into it, anything to do with home, culture, all things that are precious to your heart. And by now, you can probably understand what makes you sing, what makes you zing, what makes you feel, what makes you open up beyond your own human life. There is sometimes such a thing as kind of like flying through, or like opening and being a channel or being a guide for many, many lives without really knowing that yourself. So this is a very, very precious, ultimate time, and the ultimatum is just. So what I mean is, for some of us also on the negative side, certain patterns are no longer worthy, like certain people are no longer gonna come with us, or we cannot any longer hold something. So this is very interesting for the elderly people especially, and also those of us that are just over and we are tired and we're done with a certain scene. So, for example, in my case, I cannot participate in frivolous culture anymore. I cannot participate in social culture anymore, because I'm starting to value my time, and all that I'm creating has to have a concept that is a more grounded, more, how can I say, more human than just, going out, spending money, going out dancing or anything like that. So that is falling out of my hand. So the picture that I'm seeing is like a pen that you can no longer hold. There's also like a feeling of some people not being able to participate in a certain craft, just no longer being able or available to be with a certain person. They cannot any longer give their business their time. They can no longer be part of a certain club or culture or belief system. It is just not relevant anymore. And for those of us that are fighting it, it is very obvious. So for example, if you have writer's block right now, and writer's blocks could be something that is beyond the norm during these times. And also if you are no longer asked for in a certain group, or there's certain people that are not calling you up anymore, please try not to fight that. Libra is one of the most amazing passive times to just get rid of it. Just forget about it. Just put it in a bin. It is not important right now. If you don't have anybody around you that is supporting you right now, that's actually a gorgeous thing. But if you are feeling stranded, it might be that you have crossed over a long time ago. You have started something different within your psyche, within your belief system, within your body a long time ago. It's just that you haven't worked out that you're no longer needed in a specific place or a state of comfort. Even work and relationships, money matters, everything. There could be a state of comfort. Try to wiggle yourself out of anything that makes you feel like you don't belong. If you really don't belong now, if you're standing out like a sore thumb, or you're the last person standing, or you were the one kind of banging the drum saying, hey, come to me, and nobody comes, that is a very, very innocent state. It's a beautiful state of being so loyal and so fortunate to be strong during this time. But please consider how your strength may be needed in other ways. Integrative, collaborative experiences, work that is adjusted. Also human collectives that are waiting for you, that are asking for you. Anything that is going your way is much better and much more appropriate at this time, unless you're going through something very, very emotional. So some people at this point, because also Chiron is conjunct the moon, and Neptune is behind the moon. It's very, very intense, interesting time actually. Also with this direct Saturn and direct Jupiter, to really, really, it's really incredible time, to really, really understand there are certain things that you need to iron out. So for certain people, there is going to be the time of the hermit. For certain people, it is yours and nobody else's. The project is totally about you. Maybe nobody has the ears or the time to hear you out, and that is not too bad. The point, though, is to not stay there. If you are in one of those evolutionary stages, as I have been for a long time actually, when you kind of like put yourself under the rug, or you put yourself in a bubble, and that bubble protects you and your concepts, that is also very beautiful and very guru. That is also something that needs to be done. But please consider that this is just a growing phase, because everything eventually integrates. I make this metaphor quite often about like the plait of hair, like putting all the hair inside that one plait, and trying to stay focused and very, very discerning in terms of whether or not you are chipping away from the collective too much, or where you are going to go after. So, sometimes people have a night of the soul. Sometimes people have creative, artistic searchings, or any kind of like very even high voltage, high vibrational states that they cannot share with another person. But did you want to go that way? I think for some of us it is imperative that we sometimes lock ourselves away. We create some kind of a states of solitude and freedom from confusion through loneliness or through abandonment. It is okay, but please consider that this is the time of global cosmic culture. This is cosmos of possibilities available to you. This is more than enough to think about. I mean, this is like a huge spectrum on a big, 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 giant timeline that we're actually looking at. And I also believe with this very, very incredible Jupiter, balancing out Mars and Mercury here, and like a really, really beautiful stretch. It is a very, very nice time, and also actually Uranus and Mercury. It's a beautiful, beautiful time to stay safe and to maybe become self-segregative, so take some time If you are envisioning something that is too high, too big, or too confusing, especially, and if you don't quite see the purpose of what you are committing to, what you're a part of, it is all right. The whole point here is to just stay divine and to know that also time of confusion, time of segregation, time of separation is going to end. And one day you will see how whatever work you're doing on yourself, whatever things you're thinking about, or concepts that you're creating are going to be part of the mainstream flow. If you are a writer, if you are a magician, if you are a singer-songwriter, if you are a creator, if you're a creative person, trust that which is coming through if you are in on it, if you are naturally just in on it. I'm starting to, for example, do graphic design again, which is fantastic. It is fantastic, So, like, if you are in on something like this, consider that maybe in a little while or a long while, it's going to be one of the mainstream styles that you are creating, or it could be one of the mainstream products that you're creating. This is like a big mainstream mirror. So a lot of these voices, a lot of these songs, a lot of these creative ideas, also a lot of these mental states, a lot of these addictions as well, a lot of these mind forms are going to inevitably become part of the greater whole. And for a lot of us, there is like a place in the universe that we never thought would be. So for some people, crafting during this time and understanding who you are through your craft and pouring your soul essence into a magical project can be sometimes something that is devoured by the masses later. So if you are somebody who's working on your reputation as a graphic designer, if you're somebody who's working on your reputation as a singer-songwriter or a creative, and there are lots of projects that I'm a part of at this point, creative projects, which is incredible. There are certain ones that are going to become mainstream, or they're going to be very popular and very whole for the greater collective of people later on in time. So I also wonder about you, if you've got mental blocks, if you've got no chemicals to support creative ideas, if you cannot participate on certain things, please let it go, because it is not about force now. It is more about what makes you feel like you're flying. So what gives you that sense of freedom? For example, if you are using your voice, if you're using your hands, if you're using your body, if you're using your concepts to animate the greater parts, of this reality. I mean, this is a fantastic time. This is like breathing life. It's like playing Shiva, it's like breathing life into greater concepts. It's like the dance of Shiva. It seems to me like a very, very beautiful and conceptual time for creation. But because it is also like a very nervous time, it can sometimes create meltdowns. It can sometimes create horrible energies. Sometimes something can come through that we didn't want to come through, just because there's a lot of pressure. And it feels also with this North Node and combustible Gemini, sometimes there is like contents under pressure. And sometimes we cannot really see it, cannot believe it, but we can like hit a funny note with our voice, or like we can write something, and it for sure is needed and wanted. But sometimes there's also these kind of like quirky, weird energies that can come through. So this is also likely. So when you're creating with this very, very passive Uranus across from Mercury and Taurus, there is a very, very important phenomena that is taking place here. Something of importance is growing. So it is important that when you are burnt out, so when you are using your voice too much, when you are using your mind too much, when you are collaborating with people too much, make sure that you don't hit that boiling point with this Aryan moon really showy, very strong and very abrupt and very like cut through, making you, promise things that you cannot fulfill, or maybe giving you a little bit too much stress or too much on your plate, which is going to maybe eventually become distorted or mutated. So sometimes people can start with a beautiful concept and it becomes really like strange and overcooked, people that overpaint, overdo, oversay. And that has to be over now also. And the mind messes up sometimes when we've got too much going on. So if you have too much going around, if you're taking too many substances, if you're eating too many things, if you're saying too many things, if you are with too many people, I've already talked about the overbearing aspects of our lives in previous videos, that has to be seen and known. So are you overproducing? Are you overcooking? Do you have too many things? Have you said yes to too many people? Have you got too many concepts? And do you like what you see in your life so far? And can you come from a point of harmony? And if you cannot, it is a good time to stay safe and be alone, even though you might be required during this time. So here comes back the theme of being isolated. Sometimes isolation is not something bad, it is not something negative, it's not something embarrassing or distorting. It's actually very good just to get our breath back. And also, I talked a lot about, this rat year and how much we can conceptualize, how much we can change, how much we can twist around, how many things we can find and be a part of. But at the same time, with any small animal, like a rat, you see it's very agile, it runs around, does very many things. It sometimes needs the safety of a burrow just to get its heartbeat back to normal. With rats, with rabbits, with ferrets, it's very, very, very normal for small animals to be very, very agile and sometimes not have enough strength or not have enough peace to carry on. And that means also content's under pressure, and we have Venus going through the last degrees of the sign of the heart, Leo. And it's good to be good enough sometimes, as much as you can handle, as much as you can say, as much as you can do, as much as you can participate in. And don't be afraid that sometimes we don't have the strength. With retrograde Mars, it's obvious where it is. We don't have the breath, we don't have the concepts, we don't have the style, we don't have the time or the maturity or just the energy to get things out or to bring things to fruition. But don't worry about it, just hope. And sometimes also with Aries energy, as long as you see that star on the horizon, as long as you have that feeling of freshness, as long as you have that vision, it's good enough. So you don't have to make that vision whole right now. You don't have to say participate in 5 or 6 different projects and get them done to a completely stupendous level. You don't need to do that right now. But what you can do is you can perhaps, for some people, grieve if there is now no time for certain things. Okay, if you have maybe also wasted some of your life. Also, last month was a very interesting time of regret. People maybe starting to see it's like, wow, I could have done this all my life, or I could have been a singer-songwriter, or I could have created my own home ages ago. I could have said no to that person ages ago, or I could have put my money towards something better ages ago. So this is the regret that is coming through. And sometimes it'll come in as a wedge, almost like as a dagger, like a regret. Do you regret that you have, for example, spent 5 or 6 years doing this? Don't you regret that you have, done so much with this type of tribe or these people, and now you're feeling sorry, or there is like a feeling of sorrow, regret, and also a revolution. But without regret, there is no greater concept born sometimes. So on occasion, as people, we have to feel sad or sorry. We have to experience these feelings, and we have to come to fruition as adults also through these feelings, because by feeling these feelings we know better. This is how, for some of us, wisdom is formed. It is not all about love and light and feeling 100% all the time. Some of the time, sadness, sorrow, regret, understanding, oh, I got it, I've done the wrong thing, or like, oh, I got it, I didn't spend enough time with this person before they passed away, or I've not conceived the right thing for my business, or I could have done this for so many years, or oh gosh, I get it. Like that enlightenment is something that sometimes has to happen for us to mature. But luckily, with this moon being in Aries, it is not going to be too long that you're feeling those feelings. So this is not like, say, a lifetime of sense of decay and depression. This is more like a quick reality check and a big fruition that comes after. If you can, be brave enough and kind enough and loyal enough and loving enough and caring enough and open enough to experience any feeling that comes across big, So for me now, like, for example, I'm understanding that I've been in the wrong cultural group, like, for a while. I've been kind of walking the earth with these kind of like spunky, attractive Instagram people, and kind of walking away from myself a little bit. And we're now whole, so there is like a wholeness now. So I understand that my community would be probably more the medicine or the permaculture community or the scientific community. It's not really the hedonistic style of life that I've been looking for at all, and I didn't have to fit in there just to survive. It wasn't that which I was looking for. It wasn't that which I was going towards. And that was a little bit of shame for me in the last couple of weeks, understanding, recognizing that now. But that doesn't have to be a deep, like disheartening, like clammy shame. It could be just, oh, that's a shame, like a quick reality check. And with that quick understanding, there must be now programs and methods of working with other people, with the land, with culture, with tribes, that is on a different level adaptive. So, like the human life is about adaptation in a big way. So now we have to adapt to our lives in a different way. And also, yes, see how far we've come. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope that this has been good. And if you need me for anything, I've got a Patreon channel for which I will be doing all 12 sides for the month of October now. And also, I have Facebook and Instagram if you like. If you would like to join me for a reading, you can. And if you'd like to find out more about me, everything is in the links below. So thank you very much. I hope that, and there's also books, I also write books, so check out my books. I hope that you have a wonderful full moon and take advantage of things if they're coming your way. Thank you very much. Enjoy and have a peaceful change. Bye.